So recording has started. And Miss CC in the building.
Hey everybody, I'm here. So glad to be with you.
All right, now I'm about to send us to Facebook. This technology is amazing.
It is.
Church has changed from how we used to do it 20 years ago, haven't it?
Yes, it has, especially when you're working with an innovator like Bishop Love. He loves it all.
I know it. I know it. Hold on, let me see. Right in here. Tuesday talk with CC. What's your name on Facebook? What are you?
It's C period Harrison.
There you
CC Harrison.
What's Century 20? Oh, really? Real estate. You still in real estate?
I was, yes,
Okay.
for 10 years after Katrina.
Got it. Going on in New Orleans. Now, are you from New Orleans?
I am born and raised.
Oh, I hear it. Never mind.
That's right, real Southern girl.
I hear it. All right. Help is on the way. All right, see. All right, I just hit live, so you should see something that just tagged you in a second.
Okay.
I'm going to share it in a couple of different groups, pages. Let people watch it at their leisure in a second. Did you get anything? Did you see it? You see us?
Not yet. It hasn't come up. It's saying live on Facebook, yes.
Okay. All right.
I can see it.
All right. Share it. All right. Well, I'm excited tonight.
So am I.
It took me all day to get this interview. You're the last of the evening. Busy all day long. So thank you for taking this time to talk to me tonight.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm not even gonna waste time. It's late, so we gonna get on and we'll share it and let people watch it later on. But again, CC, thank you for coming on live with me. I've started this thing called Two Man Tuesday Talk. And this
Okay.
is in preparation for the launch of my new book, It Takes Two, who is helping you lead. I thank you for your contribution to it, that you gave me some feedback a couple of months ago. And I want to kind of double back and just kind of talk to you and introduce you to my friends and followers on my social media platforms, because I just believe that you are doing incredible work in New Orleans. So just wanted to bring you on and let us hear from you. So let's start with, let's just introduce yourself. Who is CC Harrison?
Well, I mean, CC Harrison is it's multidimensional. It's, as you said, I got a lot of hats that I wear. So I am running from the time I get up in the morning. Although I do take some days for myself, my goal, I'm very intentional about just making a difference. It did start in ministry, working under Bishop Love, but because he is so multidimensional, because he wants to affect the community, we do a lot of work in the community, whether it's Tuesday Feeding 2000, whether it's my own foundation in All Access, in which I empower women to do what they do to meet their purpose, opening doors for them. Because my role at the City of Love, for 17 and a half years has been in that number 2 position. And that is just taking the vision, conceptualizing along with Bishop Love, and doing what we do. And I love every minute of it.
Okay, all right. So one of the things I talk about in the book when I describe what a two-man is, it is not gender specific. So when I say two-man, it is who's ever in that executive leader support role. If it's a church, it could be an assistant pastor, it could be a COO or CEO or CFO, whatever executive level leadership position that is. That's what I mean when I say a two-man. So you are the quintessential two-man to me. So kind of, what is your title at the church?
Right now I serve as executive pastor and CEO. And so on the ministry side, I'm viewed as the executive pastor. So I handle all of the business functions, all of the ministries at the church, whatever they need to take care of their business and their ministry functions. I lead those areas. But the CEO side is our, external business side, in which I negotiate contracts for the church, purchase all of our properties, handle all of our community partners. We partner with several different nonprofit organizations because we realize we can't just be everything to everybody, but we partner with those who are doing the work that initiatives that we're interested in as well. So that's my hat that I wear externally for the City of Love.
Got it. Now, in one chapter, I talk about how to find a two. So the book is written to senior leaders, but it's also written to executive leaders at the same time. So one of the chapters is called How to Find a Two. I talk about, for me, two ways. Biblically, I've seen this, but then just in natural. So a lot of times people are found in the house. Looking for someone, a leader, you can find them in the house serving. They already work for the company. They're already in ministry. They're doing something. Or they can come by referral. Someone can say, oh, I know Bishop Love is looking for this. I know a great person for you. I think this is the woman for you. Tell me a little bit, how did Bishop Love find you?
Well, my story is somewhat unique. I started off, I was a registered nurse for 12 years when I first joined the ministry. And so naturally, when I came in, it was to join the nurses ministry. However, our nurses were serving the pastor in the personal, role, the nurses of the church. Okay. And so in order to raise money, one of our fundraisers was to put together a 5K walk run. And I organized the 5K walk run and the health initiatives involved with, got community partners involved to sponsor that event. And when Bishop Love saw the finished product, he called me in and he said, I don't even know how involved you are with work. I don't even know, what you are doing with your job or how happy you are. But God keeps saying that it's you. And so we had a one-on-one meeting. He said, of course, you need to talk to your husband, see what he thinks about it. But I need you here working with me in ministry. He said, now I can't offer you what you're making as a registered nurse, but if you suffer with me, you'll reign with me. That was his promise. Okay. And so I went home, talked to my husband, and, just as God would have it, we were financially able for me to leave a full-time nursing job as me being the director of nursing of a facility. We were able for me to stop doing that and to come on and work full-time ministry. And, God just had it that way. I did have a heart to work in full-time ministry, just didn't know how that was going to come about. But just because Bishop is true, he's able, to just see that I was the one.
Wow.
Been here for 17 and a half years and started off as the church secretary. And just, he sent me back to school. I was able to get an MBA. And that's how we grew.
Wow. That's fantastic. So I asked you a couple of questions when I was preparing for the book. And one of the things I said, what is a two-man or a woman to you? You said it's a person who stands behind and undergirds the vision of the one. They should fully understand the vision and commit to being the hands and legs of the organization. Talk a little bit, expound on that a little bit when you talk about being the hands and legs.
Well, Bishop to me is the visionary. God gives him vision. He doesn't necessarily have to know or be the expert in that particular area. That's why he has me in order to lead and to organize people who have the expertise. And I'm not even to do it all. I'm not to be everything to the vision, but to find the group of people, to get the wheels turning, to go and find the pieces that are needed in order to make the vision come alive, to bring it to fruition. And that's what I do. I have to look at the overall picture. And so I don't get my hands as full doing everything either. But I do lead a group of people. We have several people on our team who are MBAs, who are accountants, they have the expertise in various areas. And I just need to be able to convey the vision that he has given me, articulate it and do the work, get it done.
That's good. That's good. That's good. CC, let's take a moment. So again, the people who may jump in later. So we're doing this interview. My book is coming out. It Takes Two, who is helping you lead. It'll be out in June. People can get it at my website, ramonharper.com. But I know you have a lot of different things going on. The women's ministry, all access. Give me, how can people find you in the different things that you do from the church as well as your own personal organization? And I'm gonna type it in the comments so people can see it.
Okay, great. They can find me on Facebook. I'm under C.C. Harrison on Facebook, but I'm also on Instagram under CC Harrison 71 on Instagram. And am I going too fast for you? I'll slow down.
No, so they can see you there. So they can click on you there. Any websites or anything?
Okay. And then my foundation is allaccessfoundation.org. And we're also on Instagram under All Access Foundation.
All right. So good. So that's great, because another thing I talk about in the book, and I talk about the challenges of a two, and I kind of use this concept, what about me? So part of I feel like what God is trying to use me to do, especially for newer people coming into these roles, I just feel a burden to mentor, to coach, to help them understand how people like you and myself and Odell Dickerson and so many others who've had longevity in ministry like this, just what do they need to look for? And so one of the things that I hear a lot is like, what about the visions that I have? What about the stuff I want to do? If I'm going to submit to Bishop Love or Darius Daniels' vision, what about me? How do I do the stuff that I feel called to do? Speak to that a little bit, because you have multiple things going on outside of the church. So talk a little bit about that and how you can do that.
Right. And that's so important, and that you brought that up, because just because you start to undergird and work for someone else who has a lot of vision, it does not necessarily mean that God is going to stop speaking to you, and that your vision, you're not going to have vision anymore. What it says is, for this season, for this time, I'm going to put myself on hold, and I'm going to take this season to serve somebody else's vision. And when you do that, you automatically open the door. See, nobody would really know who I am had Bishop Love not given me a platform. Yes, I had the degree. Yes, I had the education, but when I was on the nursing floor, nobody knew CC Harrison. And so because I connected with something viewed on had more exposure than I had, connected to him, and the people that saw me serving Pastor Fran Love, they began to invite me to come and speak. You'll have your opportunity, and that's what I think people need to understand your vision is for a set time and a set season. And if you would serve the vision of someone else, your time is surely coming. But we got to, I tell people all the time, because now I get a lot of millennials, and I hate to give them a bad rap, but they come in the door wanting to be a boss. Right. And they don't believe that I have done the work. All they see is now, the books are out. Now I'm starting to get the invitations. And so they don't see all the work that you put in. But if you put the work in, if you stay connected, that's what that's what that foundation is all about. You get access when someone else invites you in.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? When they open the door and tell the people on the other side, you all right. So that's what has happened with my life. That Bishop has come along to tell his colleagues, to tell other people who need someone to help to take them to the next level. He says about me, she can be trusted.
Wow. That's so good, Cece. That's so good. Now, why do you think people struggle with that? Because, and I can't say it's just young, but just this age, this spirit of age, this social media, this Instagram, they doing it, they starting a church, maybe I need to start a church, they writing a book, I should write a book. All this stuff is kind of going on. Why do you feel like some people, especially on the ministry side, are not patient enough to say, I'll wait for my pastor or bishop to endorse me, or I'll wait for my pastor to open the door for me? It's like, I got to do it now. And they really become renegades in a sense, but
right. And then they fail. I think that's exactly it. It's the advent of social media, where you can make your life look like you larger than you really are, because what we're talking about is I can show you what I want you to see. Right. And so they don't know the struggles that come along with ministry. And so Bishop Love has even planted churches of young men who said, it's my time, I gotta go. And so he let them go out there, and they didn't last 2 years, because it's always just like you have, we talk about the two man or the second person that you rarely get to see. Then there's two sides of ministry, and they don't see that side, because we only show them the front side of ministry, the successful part that's all together. And so they go into it not knowing that there is another side to it, and that you must have a number two person or somebody that's going to balance you off. Bishop Love tells people that he's the water and I'm the container. And so he likes to just float. And so sometimes I got to look at Chase, and Chase say, no, you can't do that right now. So I'm the container that says, okay, Bishop, I got the vision and we're going to make it happen. Not going to happen today, though.
I got you. Now, another thing I talk about the types of tools. And I kind of want to hear from you which one of these may fit more your style. So I talk about, there's one that can be a type of tool, is an armor bearer. And I'm not talking about in the sense of just the armor bearer that people see that carry the Bible and help them out, travel with them. I'm talking about who brings relief to their leader. So when I talk about an armor bearer, I'm talking about more comprehensive. Like, okay, you got a meeting, let me have that meeting for you. I can take that off your plate today. Or the board of directors is meeting, I can go make that presentation. When I say armor bearer, I'm talking about that way. Number two, executioner. And this is kind of a role that I would probably fit in most. I'm an executioner of the vision, meaning my pastor can come to me and say, hey, this is what I want to do, and I can execute. But I also can execute enemies to the vision, and I do that very well. Number three is an interpreter, kind of like a Joseph. You can hear vision and kind of interpret, like, okay, this is the strategy we need to do to take it. A partner, I say a partner is a role that can play as well. So as you hearing some of those, which ones resonate with you more? Which role would you say you are? And I know we play them all at certain times, but what's your number one of what you've heard so far that you would say, that's me?
It's like you say, we play different roles at different times. It depends on what the situation calls for. I would say most of all, the role I like to play is executioner. I love to see it come to pass. And if that means, you know, if that means getting rid of enemies to the vision, I'll do that. And he knows I have no problem with doing that. But I also like to keep his hands free as well, so that he does not have to deal with the menial task of ministry. So those two roles, I would say mostly.
Now, where you get that from? Now, is that the 504 in you? Where that come from?
What's that?
The executioner role? How you so confident?
Well, you know, my husband is the police chief for New Orleans, so he's taught me how to think. Yes,
There it
he
is.
has taught me how to think like a policeman. So there it is.
I got you. I got you. All right. Another chapter talk about the qualities of a two-man. You gave me some. You said commitment, loyalty, communication, compatibility, and compassion. Talk a little bit about when you say capability. Talk a little bit about that. When you say you must be capable, what do you mean?
I think that's a big part of it. What I have learned is I have several gifted people, very talented, God-given gifts, but I never asked any of them to do something that I know that they aren't capable of doing.
Okay.
Okay, because I have people who come to the meeting and they just give ideas. That's all they're there for. So that they can keep the creative juices flowing, so that they can get us to look at things outside of the box. Whereas I have other people, my accountants, my data entry people, they are going to get the job done. And so when I say being capable, I mean being able to do what you're asked to do. And I believe in the communication. I believe it goes hand in hand. I'm going to always do my very best to communicate to you exactly what we're looking for. I think I'm a very effective communicator. I bring it all the way down, because you're not, if I have to put it in writing, what I don't want you to say is, you didn't tell me what was expected, because it frustrates us all.
Gotcha. Loyalty. Speak a little bit about loyalty. That's a lost art today. So
Yes, it is.
when you say loyalty, kind of, what do you mean?
Well, you know, my pastor is known for the art of armor bearing. Went across the country teaching the art of armor bearing, and one of the first lessons I learned was the difference between faithful and loyal.
Mm.
And a lot of times, because somebody's always here, because they are in every facet, working in every facet of ministry, they are faithful. They are not necessarily loyal. And so I use that word to say, I don't bring everybody to the back, because everybody can't handle the back or the kitchen, as T.D. Jakes would say it. Everybody can't work in the kitchen,
Right.
just because they are the ones who are there. Some people you got to leave on the first row, or, you know, further back, because they're going to tell everything that they see. A loyal person, on the other hand, would see the human side and the heavenly side of their pastor, and still be able to work.
Yes, come on. That's huge. I talk about that. Like, you got to see and still be able to serve.
That's right. That's right. Because at the end of the day, they are still human beings. They still, you know, have some struggles. They may, God may give them a little more grace, because He covers it, because they have so many people that would see it. But our job, that's my armor bearer side, is to cover them no matter what.
Right. Yeah, that's good. Talk a little bit about what advice would you give to someone who's serving an executive leading role, and not just ministry, but it can be anywhere. Because you do a lot. Like I said, you have your own foundation. You have real estate license. You've been a nurse. So you have a very broad view of business organizations in general.
Right.
What would you say to a spouse of someone who serves in a role like yours? What if they were just coming into it and be like, okay, this is what you need to go talk to your spouse about? Like, what would you say?
I would say that you include them in every facet of what you are doing, as far as these are the expectations up front. I'm expected to be here for these services. I'm expected to be here for meetings. That you let them know what you're doing. Don't have them to guess, because see, the way the enemy works is on miscommunication. If they gotta wonder where you are after church has been over 3 hours ago, then the enemy starts to play with their minds. But if you keep the lines of communication open to say, this is my passion, this is my heart, this is what I'm doing when I'm still at church. You know what I'm saying? You have to communicate with your spouse and let them know, but at the same time, communicate to them, this is what God has called you to do. And show them that you're happy doing it. Show them that it's a joy for you to serve. Because if you go home bleeding on, your husband, the first instinct of a man is to take that burden off of you.
That's right.
So I had to be very careful to go home feeling like, why did I leave my job? Why am I working for the church? No, I had to pray, bathe it in prayer, whatever the situation was, and go home to say, didn't have such a good day, but I still love what I do.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, Cece, again, let's take a moment, and then we'll wrap up about 5 minutes. Tell me, so other stuff, so the foundation, All Access Foundation, tell me a little bit more about that. What is All Access Foundation?
Well, my last book that I wrote was called All Access. And I wrote it to give people insight on how you can get to another platform. There are 3 levels of access. If you were to go to a special event or a concert, 3 levels of access, which is general admission. Those are the people who just get to sit in the regular seats and see the show. You have what you call VIP access. They get to sit a little closer, see the stuff up front. But then you have all access. Those are the people who may not necessarily enter through the lines or the front door. They can come through the back door, but they get to see everything.
Okay.
And so all access, I began to write about that and how my position as the CEO of the City of Love has allowed me access to other platforms. I talked about how my husband being cheap, just because I'm connected to him, I get to go to some functions in the city that I didn't get to go to in the past. So I wrote that book, and then about a year later, God began to say there is more to All Access. And I thought he meant to write a second edition to the book. Okay. That's not what he meant. He wanted me to mentor young women who needed more access, who needed access to resources as well as relationships that would connect them to the next level in their lives. And so we began to do business consulting because that was one of my specialties. We began to do first-time home ownership, give them access to economic development. Okay. And then if they just want to go back to school, a lot of times women feel unfulfilled because they don't have the personal or the educational development. And so my job was to connect them to mentors who have been there, done that. So that's what the All Access Foundation is. We do personal one-on-one coaching, we do business consulting, and we do the mentoring on Monday classes where they can come in and just learn something to develop.
Okay, so wow, that's fantastic.
It's a lot, but I'm prepared for it because I've done the work already at the church. So many women have come to me to say, I want you to mentor me. And they meant, ministry, mentor them in ministry, but it was so much more than that.
Okay, so I got to ask this question. So I was having a conversation with the vice president of a university earlier, and he's the vice president. We was having this 2-man talk in the higher education, Dr. Trust, and we got in this conversation about the leader, the president of the university, being secure enough and healthy enough to have such a dynamic 2-man on her staff. And he talked about how you can't handle everybody the same. When you have someone who's talented, you kind of gotta let them do their thing. and you can't treat everybody the same. So for you, how is that been? Because you're very dynamic speaker, minister, business mind. Bishop Love is incredible. How has that been where he's kind of had to, okay, let me make sure Cece do what she need to do for me, but also give her the space to do what she needs to do?
Right. That has been that that has been all him. I would say Bishop Love is so unselfish with his pulpit. Wants everybody on his team fulfilled in other areas. And so he has been the driving force behind me. Like I said, going back to school, he paid for it. Me starting the foundation. If I didn't have that type of leader, it would be very difficult to do what I do. It would be very, very difficult to continue to work under someone who didn't want to see me grow. And so I would say that's all him, because he pushes me, the motivation on Monday. That was him, put the book out. Because I helped him with his book, I knew exactly what to do when it came time for mine.
Awesome.
So he's just that unselfish.
He gets it. He gets it. Sadly, a lot don't, but he gets it. And I think you are a testament of what you make happen for someone else, God will make happen.
God will make happen for you.
And I feel like it is your time. It is your season. I've been watching you from afar for years.
Same here. Same here.
So many different connections, like the 7 degrees of separation or whatever. But even through Cease and Beverly and Marjorie and kind of what they were doing, I always hear your name way back when I was in Houston at with Higher Dimension Church with Pastor Johnson. And, we would bring Bishop Morton, and we've had Bishop Love come here to Change Church in New Jersey with Darius Daniels. And so, man, I am a fan. I think you are doing fantastic work. You are inspiration to all of us.
Thank you so much.
So I'm honored that you got on to talk to me tonight. Tell me, how can they find the church, Bishop Love and the City of Hope? How can they find you?
Well, we are the City of Love, actually, City of Love in New Orleans. And we're at 8601 Palmetto Street in New Orleans. We're just a few blocks from Xavier University. Okay. So we're at 8601 Palmetto Street in New Orleans. We're here every single Sunday, 2 services, 7:30 and 10 a.m. and on Wednesdays at 6:30.
And what's the website?
It's thecityoflove.com. And you have to put the city, T-H-E, because if you just put City of Love, that's a whole different site.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
cityoflove.com.
Okay. Now your book, how can they get your books? You got 3 books out now?
Yes, 3 books. The first one was Now is the Time. It talks about how to recover from times of recession. Wrote that one right after Katrina. We have one, Winning at Wealth, which has the principles of home ownership, starting a business, and restoring your credit. And then number 3 was All Access. That's the one I just talked about. If they hit me up, they can DM me on Facebook or on Instagram under CC Harrison.
Okay, and where can they purchase it at?
They can purchase it on those, if they DM me there, or they can go to allaccessfoundation.org as well.
All right. Well, listen, y'all, this has been fantastic. It's so much. I feel like we're going to come back in another month or 2.
I would be happy to.
Yeah, we got to do a part 2. But, man, you fantastic. Like I said, my book, It Takes Two, Who Is Helping You Lead, it will be out in June. I'm excited about it. But part of what I'm doing, and not just the book, because I don't need the stage, I don't need the fans or whatever, but I do feel like this message needs to get out. And I also want to bring awareness and appreciation to people who are serving in these roles who do it well, because a lot of times we won't get recognized, no one know who we are, but
Right.
Behind the scenes, it's some people across the country that's helping these organizations.
Amazing people. Yes.
Yep. So I'm gonna end with this, and I'm gonna let you go. So you getting ready to go watch these NBA playoffs? Are you a basketball fan?
I am. I am.
Right. So I want you to tell me if you can think through 5 top 2 men in sports. It could be in basketball. It could be in the church world. It can be in business. People who may be considered a 2-man or 2-woman. So I'll start off. In my book, I talk about Michael Jordan, as great as he was, he could not win until Scottie Pippen matured and became a leader in his own right. Once that happened, man, they won 6 championships. So I'm gonna throw it to you. Give me.
Oh my goodness. Let me see. Now you're about to get me in trouble because they might think they're number 1. Let's see. Durant, Kevin Durant.
All right.
Let's see. Number 2. Oh my goodness, sports world. See, I watch the games, but I can't say that I'm. You want 5? Goodness, let's see.
No, it don't have to be sports. It can be somebody that's in the church world. It can be
okay.
Business.
Okay, church world, full gospel. Definitely my pastor. Lester Love in the full gospel realm.
Okay.
Bishop Walker's assistant is Derek Noble. He does an amazing job. And Jan Bro, I would have to say, my girl, she trained me when I first came to work for Bishop Love. She's Bishop Morton's assistant, been there over 25 years. And just amazing. She is so calm to say she has so much on her shoulders.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my people.
She
is bad.
She is a 2-man. She a king. She a boss.
She is.
Yeah. Well, thank you, CC, for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. Like I say, once I get this rolling, I think we got to come back. I think there's a whole lot more.
Definitely.
If we got into the nuts and bolts, if we talk about the challenges of
oh yeah.
If we talk about how to stay when there's some bad days and when you're feeling underappreciated, how'd you make it through, and what would you attribute your longevity to? Like, it's a whole bunch, so we got to come back.
A whole bunch. I would love to come back, and we got to get you in New Orleans too.
Hey, let me know. I would love to come. But thank you so much again. We appreciate you. I honor you. I celebrate you. I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Yes, sir. Bless you.
All right. Take care.
Have a good night.
Yeah, so that was CC Harrison, y'all. Fantastic guest. See y'all later. Make sure you go to www.ramonharper.com. Pre-order your book today. It's coming out in June, but you can pre-order it today. I'm looking forward to it, y'all. Remember, it takes 2.